There's agendas as you walk in. If you didn't get one, help yourself. We have some guests with us today. I have Joel Vernier, Secord Township Supervisor, and I have Sawyer Scott. He's representing a company he wants to give a little talk about. And anybody else? I think that's all the guests we have. So we'll go into the business part of this meeting, and I shouldn't be keeping you guys long today. We need approval of the previous minutes which was sent to each board or director, and I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Okay. Second. Motion and support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say. Then do you have a secretary's report, Jeannie?
Nothing.
Okay. Then we go to a treasurer's report, Susan Morgan.
General fund has $27,062.52. The Secord Dam Fund has $4,870.63.
I make a motion we approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Same. Okay, that's bills to pay.
We have a Secord Township bill for $12 for copies.
Okay.
And then we have an S&H engraving for $100.
That was for.
Merchandise that was sold during the golf outing.
Okay.
What was it for? I can't hear.
That was for merchandise sold for the golf outing.
Well, we'll have a motion to pay those together. So I need a motion to pay those bills.
Motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Okay, those bills paid. Committee reports, we have membership. You have update on our membership or?
282 members.
Okay, which is pretty good. Promotions, Rita Lewis could not be here. She's traveling. She did an out west trip. So let's see, Sandy, you're.
Actually, Greg probably has better. Greg, please.
Greg.
On the promotions, just continuing, we've started our process with the merchandise and those purchases, and that's through S&H. So we will usually look to submit orders for those, the week following the meeting, and then kind of get a process with those. We also have the decals available, but we're looking for a plan of attack to get more swag out to our members and to the community come spring and summer next year.
Okay. Very good. Sorry, Greg, I spelled your last name wrong. I'm just looking at that right now. Should be an R in there. It's Greg Sharp. And then fundraising, I think we're going, I have that committee in place. We have a board committee, and then, but our major fundraiser was the golf outing, and that was actually chaired by Jeanette Hauser. She was in charge, or she took hold of that. In her committee, Jenny Combs, Kim Fair, Beth Therian, Cheryl O'Neill, Sharon Byler, Heather Combs, and then Chuck Sikora. So I think at this point we'll do this report. Jenny, if you want to, why don't you give up? We're just going to give you kind of a wrap up of that. And I think, Jenny,
I can sit here.
no, we wanted you to be on camera because this is going to be recorded. So I think you should sit here.
Okay.
Sit next to Jeannie would be good.
I'll sit next to you.
Pretty soon, Jenny will be sitting up here anyway. She's been newly elected board member. That term starts in January. But, yeah.
Okay, on September 25th, we had our golf outing. We had 108 golfers. We had 60 sponsors. We had, 20 volunteers, over 20 volunteers, and we ended up with 18,505, I was clear. Over $18,000. So very successful. A lot of hard work and a lot of good people. So we were very excited about it. We just finished sending out the thank yous to the sponsors and volunteers and what have you. Lots of donations from not only businesses but individuals. So we were happy about that. And Jeanette's got a note here to make sure, make sure you go to Richardson Chevrolet to redeem your $100. If you go there, I guess, and take a drive, you did it, did you, Phil?
Yes.
And you said it was relatively easy.
In your packet, you got these cards for Richardson's, their golf balls, Bridgestone. You just take it in there, and I happened to talk to a gal, Peggy.
Yeah.
And she
Did
just
you guys
said,
do
come
it?
sit here.
Yeah.
And there was no, we didn't have to test drive a car or nothing. It was kind of like very easy.
Here you go. Yeah.
You know, give her driver's license so she gets your address and everything correct, and blah, 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 and answer a couple questions, and away you go. And I already received my golf balls,
Yeah.
like, you know.
So that was pretty good.
She's about the only one in there who will admit to knowing what's going on.
Right.
So they all direct her to Peggy, so save yourself some time, walk in and ask for Peggy.
Good
Now,
job.
if you know anybody that has that card, go ahead and do it. You have till December 15th, unless that's changed. That's how.
I think that's right. I think that's right.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, it's kind of a nice. I will say you have to pay postage on the golf balls, so you know, if you. That's,
Whatever that is.
yeah. Well, it can vary depending. I think my postage was $15 or something.
And how many balls? They were Bridgestone balls.
Bridgestone, which are usually $50 a dozen. So I mean, you got $100 of golf
Right.
balls for $15.
Right. So she made a note here, wanted me to make sure to talk about, and then thanks to John and Jan Schumacher from the golf course, they were really, really accommodating. And it was just a really good day. We had threat of rain, it didn't rain. So it was just a really, really good day. We had some good prize winners, and they all went away happy, and it just was a very good day and a lot of hard work, and it showed.
Yep.
So we thank all of you for that.
Well, we thank the committee. The committee just, I was amazed. You know, I was thinking if we could raise, I took it easy on them. I said they were, everything was up in the air, and they weren't sure how much money they could raise, and I knew how much the big boys raised, so I was being conservative, but when they told me how much it did bring, I was just simply amazed. They did a great job. Jeanette Hauser, of course, kind of chaired up the event.
She worked a long, hard hours.
And I think we've talked her into maybe trying another one next year. See, the next year is supposed to be easier. I'm not saying it's going to be, but what I've heard is sometimes the first year is very hard. So you're starting from zero. You have to get all the sponsors. Now, some of those probably will be available next year, so you have your database. So I guess their committee is talking about it, but pretty sure right now they will put on another one next year. But we had Jeanette, and then of course Kim Fair on the committee, Jenny Combs, Beth Therian, Cheryl O'Neill, Sharon Byler, and then Heather Tarpening, which is Jenny's daughter. She puts some on. She lives in Clarkson, right?
She lives in Fenton.
Fenton, but she does do some. She has put on golf outings down there and so she really helped with this process, helping the committee out. So we thank her for sure. And then of course Chuck Secord was on that committee. He's actually the chairman of our board fundraising committee. So they did a great job. And then last summer they did a great job in the concert. So they're just on a roll. They're doing a lot of good things. We had a lot of lake support. So I know a lot of people on our lake want our lake back. The money will be invested in that cause, whether in some other causes, probably like maybe weed control. I know that's a big issue right now, but we're going to be getting together as the board and this committee and talk about how to appropriate that money. We don't want to have a big savings account. It's designed to bring back our water, and that's what we want to do. But anyway, extreme thanks to these folks. I mean, They did a lot of work. I mean, it was almost every day they were working. It was, I couldn't believe it, but I know it's a hard job, so.
We think this, we just want to thank everybody for the support, because it was a lot of community support. So yay, everybody.
Yeah, it was.
Did you want some feedback from, I probably.
Absolutely.
You know, at least 50 of these golf. I thought you guys did a fantastic job, especially for first year. One thing I would mention, maybe you could have a door prize for the golfers next year.
A door prize?
Just for playing. Yeah, a door prize. It doesn't have to be anything big, but usually they
Good
have
idea.
door prizes.
Good idea.
And especially since you charge 75, and some of them have door prize for 65 or $75.
Did they? Yeah.
And then your prizes, I don't know, they were fine, but for first, second, or third might have been a little better.
Yeah.
Other than that,
That's been talked about
it was
already.
fantastic.
Yeah, we did
And
talk
you
about
get
that, yeah.
Just a fantastic job.
Thank you, thank you.
Always room to improve, and we always want input.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, yeah, I just mean for future, you know, they're gonna be looking forward.
Well, you know, I think one of the things too is, Kim is a golfer more than, but Jeanette and I neither. I mean, we aren't what we would call golfers. So we, you know, we just kind of based it on what everybody else, you know, you should do this, and we kind of, that's kind of how we did it. And actually, I think Phil was pretty instrumental in coming up with the prizes. So, you know, that can be talked about, absolutely. You know, and if we need the money next year, I know that there's some question about that. I mean, I don't know exactly how that's all going to fly, but you know, we'll see. We'll see.
Very good.
But thanks, guys.
You know, and moving forward, as we talk about the money, you know, the dams, if they do get funded, there's still going to be a need for our lake community to do other things. You know, we'd like to reach out to our association members and say, hey, what can we do to make our lake a better place? Whether it be a park or whether it be whatever. I mean, there's, you know, my vision is when we get our water back, we should have one huge 4th of July celebration. If we have to pay for the fireworks or whatever we do, let's have it.
I agree.
So there's things we can do. We can do fun things too. So I think there's always going to be needs for some money, because obviously there's other things we can do on this lake. We move on to communications. I think under that, I'm just going to, again, there was 2 major things going on this year. One was our golf outing. The other one was restorethelakes.org. That was a separate committee kind of again, but they worked kind of through our association, and they worked with other associations on other lakes. But that was another huge undertaking. So we had 2 things going this summer that were big for our lake. And I just have to thank pretty much that committee, and Sandy, help me out if I forget someone, but Jeff Sorensen, he likes to kind of be a silent guy behind the scene, but he was the main engine in this thing. And then Ken Wells, we had Tammy Johansson, she's on the board, Heidi Schloth, okay. And then Joel Vernier he was at most of the functions helping. And then of course Chuck and Sam Secord were instrumental. So they did a ton of work. I mean, that was also one of these things where every day almost they were in. And I just got a message from Jeff saying now Sanford Lake wants them down for a meeting they're having coming up. And they're actually having some legislators there. Representatives Glenn and Hawk will be at their meeting, so they want to represent and restore the lakes there. So that was important, because if you're new and don't know what that's about, that was a letter writing campaign, grassroots, by the lake communities to get people to write to support or tell the legislators we appreciate their support to return our lakes.
With that note, we got a letter from our governor on that restore the lakes.
To our association.
Yep.
Yeah, I sent out an association by I guess the 4 Lakes Task Force kind of thought it'd be a good idea if the association sent out I sent personal ones and then I sent out association, just asking. It was worded a little different. We had our communications person do that. And just asking or thanking them for their support and, you know, as we move forward. In most sense about dollars. I mean, we're trying to get this paid for. It's one of our obstacles yet is getting this paid for. So hopefully that takes care of it. But that was huge. So 2 big things this summer. Elections, we don't need to talk about that right now much because it's not until, we always have an election in August. I'll just remind everybody that there's always 3 board positions open. And so we rotate. We have 9 board members, they rotate 3 are elected every year. So there'll be 3 positions available. Anybody interested? In weed control, we've just formed a new committee for that. I'm gonna head that up, but I have Chuck Secord gonna be on that. Mike Such, he asked to be on that. Greg Sharp here, he asked to be on that. Brett Wilson has been I don't know if anybody's met him yet. He wants to help with that. He uses a drone. He's very good with it, so he thought he could look at our lake from above and find areas that maybe we can address. And then I put Mary Kay Brown on that committee. She agreed to be on that committee. Jerry? All right. More the merrier. What we're gonna do with this committee is we're going to, of course, through the association, address the weed issue and then work with each of the townships because Joel, and I'm sure I'm going to give him a chance to talk today. That's one of his focus on our lake. And I think Clemet's come aboard and Barrett is trying to come aboard. So I think if our association kind of is a conduit and we can help out, getting everybody working together to, when we do get water back, we don't have to worry about a year's worth of weeds that we're getting stuck in our crops. So, or 2. So that committee has been, that'll be going soon. I'd like to start another committee, and I have to get approval from the board, but I don't think there's going to be an objection. But I'd like to next year, we're going to have an annual meeting in August, and next year I'd like to make a bigger thing about it. I'm thinking of the Eagles at the pavilion or something and have a fun day, annual meeting, fun day, food, drinks, elections, of course. We'll do that before we drink. And then just have a fun day where the lake community can get together and hopefully it's nice and we can do it indoor, outdoor type event. So I'm going to get a committee started on that because that takes work. It's not intense, but it does take work. So we'll get going on that. So that's all I have under the on that. So right now, next on my list is comments from our guests. I'm going to ask. We have a gentleman with us today, Sawyer Scott. He called me and asked if he could come. He's been doing some work on the lake, on our lake in particular, with weed control. So the thought there is. A lot of individuals are taking care of their own frontage, but some people cannot, whether they just don't have the equipment or they just can't do it because of maybe their age or who knows, or don't want to do it. So Scott, that's where Scott comes in, or Sawyer Scott comes in, and that's a name interesting because I want to call you Scott backwards. But anyway, Sawyer, you're up. I mean, I know he has a laptop, which may be a strain, but anybody that wants to talk to him after the meeting, he can probably get more personal with. But go ahead, come on up here.
Yeah, I got a little computer here. It's not very big. I'll try to get it in the camera here. I'll squeeze it right here so you guys can also see. I got some before and after pictures of what I do, kind of how I got started. I don't know if you guys can see that okay.
Probably not, but that's okay. Let's just go through it.
I'll stay after if you guys want to check everything out here. But that's my logo. It's called Dam Weeds Brush Clearing Co. And the dam's failing and everything like that, so I call it the Dam Weeds. I actually live on Wixom Lake. It's a lot worse over there. And that's kind of how I got started with this business because here's my frontage here. I'm 6'5". The weeds are right up to my nose in the picture here. And I'm on a canal, right? So I, thank goodness, I don't really have a lot of tools. I actually just moved up here a year ago, so bad timing. But my father-in-law gave me a little electric hedge trimmer. I'm not sure if you can see it there. Had to plug it in. I got a 250 extension cord there, and I just started going to town. I finally finished, and I turn and look. So, all right, I took care of my weeds, and my dock looks great. Look down the canal, and no one else has, right? So I'm thinking, oh crap, it's not going to make a difference if I can't even get my boat down the canal. So I started to tell everyone, hey, I'll come and do your frontage, and it grew out of that. Here's some before and after pictures of my frontage there. And here's some before and after pictures of a lot of the places around Secord here as well.
So after the meeting, like, if you're interested, because I know you can't see that from up there now, but come up and take a look.
Yeah, of course. Yep, so I do, I'm not sure if you can see much, but obviously the hoist, you can't even see the hoist. And then afterwards, I chop it all down. I mulch everything up. Everyone asks me, do I clear it out? I will if you really want me to, but I always say wait till after and you can just judge then. And I've never actually had anybody say, that looks bad, I want you to rake it all up and clear it up, because it mulches down so well that it goes right down to sand. With all the equipment. No, I've upgraded since. So the old school edge trimmer didn't last long. So in the weeds like this, I cut that cord right in half like 3 times and threw that thing away.
Not a mulcher is what you're using.
Yep, and I'll go through the equipment in a moment here. I actually have a brush mower, an industrial weed whacker with a million different attachments on it for mulching, cutting, doing saplings. Fiskers will come around and at the end and make sure all the young trees are clipped right to the ground. I don't uproot anything because the roots are actually helping for erosion. So I make sure that no roots are getting ripped up, because a few of my neighbors' homes almost was lost into the river because of the erosion. So I try to avoid uprooting anything really. But go through some before and after pictures here. There was, let me see if I can find it here. Go back to the first one. A lot of people ask me, like, do you go in the water? Do you do by land? This picture right here kind of shows in one of the situations where it's almost a 70 or 80 degree incline here. I'll throw my waders on, jump in the water, and get my weed whacker with the attachments on it and kind of clip it upwards like that. So I get it done no matter which way you twist it or flip it. Landscaping and slopes, doesn't matter, we'll take care of it for you. A few more before and after pictures. A lot of people ask me how I price things. I'll get to that as well. Here's some of the equipment. That's the workhorse there. That's actually doing most of the mulching for me. That's a brush mower. I can't have anything too heavy because a lot of the times I'm lifting it from the seawall down to the lake bed. So unfortunately, that's pretty much the most heavy duty equipment I have. Other than that, we have the Swiss Army knife. It's the Wild Badger, is what it's called. It's twice the power of a regular weed whipper. And I have different attachments I use for trimming, mulching, cutting. And if you guys want to talk to me about which equipment I use or which blades, I'm more than willing to talk to you about that if you want to try to do it yourself and order some of these. And then I've got obviously a regular weed whipper and some fiskers, just old school chopping down. And pricing. So a lot of people ask me, is it by square footage? No, it is not, because I've had a 300-foot frontage property with only a few weeds. So if someone calls me up, I got 300 square foot of frontage, what is that going to cost me? So I don't know, what do the weeds look like, right? What is the soil? Am I going to sink into the mud? What equipment can I bring down there? So a lot of it goes into not just square footage, but the level of difficulty and the time it's going to take me to complete it. And with that being said, I also work in everyone's budget. I don't think I've ever turned anyone away because of pricing issues. So I'm very negotiable. We want to get all these weeds taken care of, right? We don't want money to get in the way of that. So with that being said, more of guidelines, and it can be an open discussion as far as price goes. And other than that, I got business cards if you're interested. I'll hand them out at the end, and if anyone's further interested, I'll stay after and we can go over a few things like that.
Okay. Any questions for Sawyer?
I just have a quick question. I know that as a township, that we pay for weed control, you know, and I know that that's aquatic,
Right.
weed control. So how does this, like, let's just say the water comes back, is it gonna kill any of that? Is that, I mean, I
It
don't.
depends, right? All the smaller, younger stuff, the water, it won't let the sunlight hit it. So it probably will die, but those trees and the
Trees.
stems and everything, that's not gonna go anywhere.
Like the shoe-mock trees?
Yeah, exactly.
This year
So-
was tall, yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta cut those down before the
So
water
it's a
comes back. to those.
continual, I mean, you have to keep doing it, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you will. I mean, I can't just do it once and have it be good until the water comes back,
Right,
right?
right.
The weeds are gonna continue to grow, the saplings gonna continue to
So
drop.
you just leave the, whatever you cut down, it just lays, it just stays there. And
Yeah, I mulch it all up very well, but so much so where if it rains or the wind blows, a few days later you can't even tell that I had just been there and ripped it all up, right? So I've had a lot of good things, reviews as far as the mulching process.
I can see where that would work.
Yeah, yep. I've had a few people, I will say I did have one person ask me to rake it up, but that was in a canal and it was straight. It looked pretty good, but some people have different ideas of what their frontage wants to look like, and I'm just here to accommodate their vision, so.
So you and I had talked, this is something I'm saying generally, that first of all, we've got 2 years growth down at our place.
Yep.
So that job is a bigger job
Yep.
than it would be if you would do a repeat next year.
Oh yeah, most
So
definitely.
people can pretty much know if we get it done and they call you
Yep,
back,
good
it'll
point.
probably be easier.
Much
And
easier,
less money.
much easier.
And you're kind of thinking it'll be like a once-a-year thing until the water comes back, is that?
It depends on your property. So I'm in a canal on Wixom, and I've got a steady stream coming through. I've had to do mine probably 3 times this summer. But I've gone out on Secord here, and I've done somebody's once, and I've never had to go back. So, I mean, I think it just depends on the property and the soil, know what goes
So
into
you
it.
would look at it and say, this is what it's gonna cost you, and this is when I can do it, just like.
Exactly, yep. Yep, most definitely.
Well, okay, Sawyer, thanks.
Thank you.
I think maybe, he's just one, I know there's other services starting up. He's the one that contacted me. If anybody else wants to come to our meetings, they can. I think, I would have to check with my board. I'm sure they're gonna be okay, but maybe we can, put your source on our information, because I know we want to reach out. There's people that aren't here or aren't going to listen to this, and they need to know that service is available in some cases. So if you don't mind if we put that out on our website, that they contact you and, can help some people out. I think that's good. And, and there'll be I think there's other companies I've heard about, but I know Sawyer's done some work on West River where I live, and I haven't heard anything bad yet, so it's been a good job. So thanks, Sawyer. Joel? Sure. I know why don't you come up here, have a seat, and tell us all about what you're doing.
Well, thank you. And I will try to be brief because we just had a whole bunch of good information. We are still, again, collecting weeds this winter tax bill. I've got to tell you, I've taken a lot of heat each year for collecting. No question about that. But I think it's so critical. Had we not do that, we would not be prepared to have the war chest that I have to be able to take on key issues. So first and foremost, and this is all going to be coming together over the winter months, we've got to address all the areas of the lake bottom that don't have water right now. They've got trees in it, that's sandbar areas, areas that used to be 9 feet deep in water don't have water, and we have all these weeds going on there. And they're so far away from anybody's property, sometimes there's water before you get to it. So all of that is going to have to be addressed. The key thing about the trees, and believe me, we're very lucky, they've got millions of them on Wixom Lake. Okay, so my understanding, the key issue on the trees is that they get so big, and the water comes in, it'll kill them, but then you jump off your boat, you can get your foot impaled by a spear and things like that. So we have to address all those things. I've gotten a lot of heat from the people that are in a dry canal area, and there's stumps out in front, and PLM couldn't get back in there to take care of the algae. I understand that, I get that, and they're saying we want a rebate because we're not getting taken care of. And I'm like, well, we are getting taken care of, because you're going to want to bring your boat out into the main channels of the water. And I can tell you, had we not treated this year, you wouldn't be able to take the 5 or 6 pontoons that are out on the water, would not be able to go through there next year already. So it's absolutely critical that we maintain that. As far as from the edge of the seawall down into the water where we have going around the lake, we are hoping that that's something that individuals can do by working with various organizations like Sawyer's to be able to take care of that. One of the key things, and Sawyer and I talked about it a little bit, is that as we're doing that, and if you're cutting it down, that's great, but if all the weeds keep building up there that you cut down, you're going to end up with a biomass. When the water comes back, then your weeds are going to grow quite well. The equestrian weeds, aquatic weeds will grow quite well because they have a biomass to feed on. So, that's an area to look into and debate that we're having. I mean, PLM is going to give me a price on spraying around that area, but it's going to be astronomical. And you can't really spray next year because we can't do it and have the roots gone and then have the erosion problems. So, I mean, when might we spray on something? Let's say that the dams are going to start being fixed in the fall of 22. We don't know that. But as a for instance, then the water is going to start coming back in the fall of 23. So maybe before that comes back, we could spray and kill. So, we have to look at all these things. Basically, we don't know what we don't know, timing and this and that and the other thing. But I'm very excited to mention that it looks like Brett Township is going to be coming on board and doing this. It's a process to be able to come on board. They probably won't be able to treat next year, but they should be able to treat in 23. So I think it's great. And that was a grassroots citizens movement. I attended the Brett meeting Tuesday night, and PLM came there and did an hour-long presentation to educate in that. So it's really good. But anyways, thanks for your support on that. If you hear people complaining about the weed situation and we're building up money and stuff like that, believe me, we're going to probably use every penny to get the lake in shape so that when the water comes back, we can get out there and have fun. Sure.
Is the intent to get all of the lakes to use the same weed control? I mean, you guys all have contracts with different ones right now.
So right now, PLM treats both Clement and Secord. So actually, Clement was not going to treat this year, all right? So we started it first, and then a couple months into it, they were noticing the same problem, that the weeds were building up, so they decided to treat. So that's a good thing. The other good thing will be when Barrett comes on, it won't help us for next year, but the way a lot of these weeds are, they'll break off, and some of them, they only need about an inch long, and it's broken off, and it'll float downstream, land, and regrow. The starry something, one of those that does that a lot too. But so anyways, by having them treat, Clement treat, and us treat, it's going to make the whole lake better. There's no question about that. We'll have much better control. People can bid out and use whatever company they want, but we seem to be pretty pleased with the PLM group, and Clement is pleased with it. So who knows? But that is, everybody can bid independently. There's a benefit to doing it together because then we split the DNR costs and stuff like that. So anyways, any questions? Okay, appreciate your support when you hear people yelling about paying it and they're not getting any benefit because they truly are.
Thanks, Joel. And today we were supposed to be setting a nice brand new carpet, but I guess we got a little delay there or something, right?
Yep, it's going to be in next week.
Next week, okay.
Over here.
So, okay, it's under our business. We have summer meetings that we call board meetings that are public. We go April through October, and that is in our bylaws. We're looking at that. The board will be discussing that moving forward. I don't know if that's too many. We'd like input from our membership if they think, I don't know if, I know that looking at like Four Lakes Task Force, they have 5 meetings, public meetings a year. So we may be looking at that. It's hard to attend once a month for 7 months. So we may need input from our membership on that. So if you have any thoughts, let me know. We're losing a board member sitting next to me, Jeannie Baylor. She's our secretary. They're moving to be closer to their kids, which is in Illinois, and so there will be a vacancy. So if anybody's interested in that, let one of the board members know. That'll take effect probably January 1st. And how that works is we get names from our membership, and then we do a small interview, and that's it. The board appoints you until you are elected. And so there will be a vacancy. Meeting location, this works, I gotta thank Joel and Secord Township. They've been very generous letting us use this meeting room, and I like it. We're always open to suggestions though, if anybody can think of something different. Our membership's growing, so it can present a problem in the future if we have 280 members. If we keep growing, maybe a bit small. Of course, we've had the COVID. Well, this summer we got by pretty good, but COVID, we never know with this COVID thing. So we're open to suggestions for different areas to meet. I think I would like probably the annual meeting in August. We want to kind of make that special this coming year. We didn't have time last year, and we didn't know what the COVID rules would be last year, or this last summer. So we kind of didn't focus on that. But I think moving forward, next year should be a better year, and hopefully there's construction on our dam, and there's going to be more excitement. And so I'd like to meet at least one of that meeting, probably at the Secord, Eagles, maybe at the Pavilion, make a big day of it, as I mentioned earlier. I think I got everything. 4 Lakes Task Force update. There's not a lot to update. What's happening right now is the engineering for both Smallwood and Secord is as far as they can go, and it's at about 70%. And actually we're ready to file for permits, but we can't do that till we know where the financing is coming from. So we're on a hold pattern with these 2 dams. Now they're working on the other 2 because there's extensive amount of erosion, I think you've seen pictures online, but they're actually redoing, major redo. So we knew that all along. They were going to be more money than us, but we're all stabilized. Our work's been completed to stabilize our dams at this point at the water level where it's at now. So we're now waiting to turn in permits for construction, but we have to get the financing in place first. So I think we're supposed to hear on that financing within this month or the beginning of next month. They're going to decide. That's the state of Michigan. And if we get what we want to get, which is 224 million is our goal, that will offset the cost of the capital construction on all 4 dams. So that'll be really nice. And you can't apply for permits until the government will not give you a permit until they know you have funding. And we have been approved for a loan, but a loan means property owners have to pay it back. So that creates a problem. It's going to create a real burden on property owners. So that's why we asked the government to help us. And it looks like most of the legislators are in favor. So I just hope it works, including our governor. So we're waiting for that. Once we get that promise of financing, we can move forward with permitting. So that's kind of where we're at now, and then we go from there. Next year there'll still be an assessment hearings, because also before you can get a permit, they want to know how you're going to operate the dams for the next 75 years. So you have to have a plan in place, and we do, but it takes financing to do that. So there will still be an assessment, but it'll be a lot smaller. It'll be called an operational assessment. That's to maintain, run the dams. We have to have a company do that, maintain them. Obviously, we're not going to let them set like they have for the last, next 100 years.
they will be updated as needed. So that's kind of where the Four Lakes Task Force is at. We just had a public board meeting September 15th, and they went over where we're at, and kind of that's where Secord's at right now. And let's see, I think unless there is any questions, I'm at the end of my agenda. Any questions out there? Or any comments? You have the floor if you like. Okay.
I'd like to add my thank you to those that were involved in the golf outing. Again, excellent job with that. We really appreciate all the help with that. And one thing I did want to add, thank you, Joel, for your insight and looking forward thinking as far as the weeds go, and thinking, just looking at it as a taxpayer myself. The process of paying and those types of things Joel didn't mention, as far as if we need to make adjustments, it's a lot of it's timing. If we don't have the funding right away, then we have to go through a cycle to budget for it, and then we've already put ourselves 6, 8, even 12 months behind by not having that money stored away within the township for that matter. So we just want to make sure that we're prepared financially to do that, and I think I commend Joel for doing that. So
Great. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn. Second.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thanks for showing up today. This is the last of the public meetings for the year. We'll be we'll see stuff online though. We're going to still put things out, right, Sandy?
Oh yes. Oh yes.